Welcome to A Working Title, a podcast that offers a unique perspective on the various paths to success. We dive into the stories and experiences of those who are in the thick of it, those who are navigating the early stages of their journey. These are the voices that often go unheard, yet they offer valuable insight and lessons for us all. We believe that everyone's journey is deserved to be shared and worth celebrating, no matter how big or small the steps taken may be. Whether it's a career move, a business venture, or even a major life decision, we explore the highs and the lows of those who are taking the bold leaps of faith. Join us as we gather honest and authentic conversations that offer a glimpse into the hopes, fears, and dreams of those who are hoping to make their mark into the world. Success is never guaranteed, but the journey itself is always worth the ride. Hi, Hannah.
Hi. How are you?
Lovely to meet you. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm good. Something that I saw when reviewing your work was just this common red thread of freedom of expression. So first I wanted to ask, what does that term mean to you?
Wow. Freedom of expression for me is just being able to do what I want, when I want, and being able to be vulnerable and honest and authentic about myself without having my brain or my body or my being surveilled. I think that's what that means to me. I guess growing up, I had to not follow this rule book kind of thing, but there were things that I weren't really allowed to do within my household or within my culture, within my upbringing. And I'm someone who loves to express myself, whether it's dancing, writing, taking photos. And as I'm a woman, there were certain ways I couldn't act or couldn't be or couldn't showcase in the name of my culture or in the name of my family or how I was expected to act. So kind of like having the lack of the freedom of expression when I was younger. Now that I'm older, like I can definitely own that power of making sure I put out everything I want and do everything I want and kind of give my child self what she didn't have, in the sense of like, if I wanted to go out in a certain way, dress a certain way, I had to think twice about so many other things and other people. And obviously as a woman, I had to think twice about my safety, being outside or how I was going to be approached. But I guess as I grew older, the confidence with making my own decisions like prevailed. And now I really believe in just like listening to my soul and listening to things that truly mean something to me, and expressing myself is something that is so important and is needed for me to like just have a good balance in life. Otherwise I'm keeping everything in. So like expression for me is basically my blueprint. Like I have to. And I think it comes from a place of like when I was younger, I wasn't able to, or I didn't know how to, and I was having to make so many other people happy. And as you grow into a woman, obviously into your independence, you're kind of making yourself happy. And yeah, I don't know, it's been a beautiful journey, and it still is one of that freedom of expression. And, you know, but yeah, no, it's insanely important for me, especially within my craft, of course.
What was the turning point in terms of the moment of when you realised, I can't do this anymore, I don't want to live this sort of way of life? Was there a poignant point or moment, or was it just something that kind of came organically within you?
Yeah, I think being a young teenager who knew who I was, which is like me now, obviously before the photography, before me doing the workshop, my show and everything, I knew that I had this artistry within me, which none of my family had, and none of like in my upbringing within my culture living in Morocco, I never really saw creativity embedded within my family or freedom of expression, like we've just said. So I think at the ages of like 12, I basically turned to the internet, and I turned to things like books and movies because what I saw around me wasn't doing anything for my soul. Again, like you kind of know who you are before you know who you are, if that makes sense. And so there's me as a 12-year-old being like, I love music, I love dancing, I love looking at women express themselves, whether it's in music videos or dancing videos or imagery, like actual photography, any art. Like I loved all of that, but I had no one to bounce off because no one, like my mother didn't love them, my father didn't love that. Like there was no one to be like, oh, that's where I get my artistic juices from. And I feel like because of the whole like not being able to express myself, I turned to the internet, I turned to books, I turned to movies. I was watching like 18 plus movies at the age of 12. Oops. But it's the art forms that were displayed to me that kind of like allowed me to become who I am. Obviously, I was just like, I know who I am, but I'm not with, like, I don't have the things around me to get there. And, you know, I didn't know about like dance classes. I wasn't shown that kind of life. I wasn't taken to concerts. I had to find them myself. I didn't, you know, I found YouTube, honestly, and that kind of like installed a family within me that was online, and it showed me how creative and talented I could be. And that's how I kind of learned how to become a photographer. I learned how to work a camera. Um, and as those like ages, like 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, I really found myself and I was like, cool, if I'm not an actress, I'm going to make the movies. If I'm not a dancer, I'm going to make the music videos. Um, and like writing for me was the first catalyst and the first jump towards becoming this creative being that I am, because I felt so much at such a young age and I had no one to speak to. And if I did, it was just very much like, no, like you're going to work in an office, you're not going to be a creative. And so my pen and my paper was like my therapy for me at such a young age. And when I started writing my thoughts, I realized like, I'm not going to live this life, you know, of like not being able to express myself and being under a rock and not truly fulfilling my desire and what my soul needs. Again, like my soul like knew what it needed before I did. So I guess things like that, just like the age of 12 is a really prevalent age for me because that's when I started like digging deep into like the online life and like making friends online, starting like Instagram at 2009 and just posting photos of my food and editing it, you know, simply stuff like that. And being like, oh, I love visual stuff. I love working on things. I love making reds pop. Like, I love editing that teacup. Like, stuff like that at the age of 12 is kind of what led me to being like, oh, I'm a director, I'm a photographer. I love the visual stuff. And from then on, I just became this rebel towards anyone that didn't want me to be who I was. And as you can imagine, teenage years are kind of the craziest years, and my confidence just plummeted. And by the age of like 16, I knew I wanted to be a director, and I knew I wanted to be everything that was just a sense of hope and inspiration to other people that also were in a box, just like me, you know?
It's really interesting that you say that you were a rebel to anyone that didn't want you to be like that, because I think when someone that young has so much energy, and I think when you were speaking then, that's all I was hearing and seeing was this massive amount of energy. And if it's not going within the traditional paths that others would expect, it's people might find it hard to, you know, quote unquote manage.
Most definitely. I don't know. I didn't grow up with like a strict household, but you know, I'm Moroccan, grew up Muslim. So it's very much like the expectations of me were very academic and very intellectual, which I would argue being a director and being this person I am requires so much academia and so much like intellectual kind of like energy to actually balance all of these things that I'm doing. But in a sense, like because of that, I went to school and I did all the academic subjects and I did a science, I did a chemistry for my A levels, I did actually 5 A levels. Like I almost like overcompensated to kind of prove to my family members or to the people that expected that of me that like I have the capability of memorizing and learning for tests and getting an A star, which in essentially is what we're having to do. But at the same time, that's not what I love and that's not what drives me. And I think, bless my parents' hearts, they weren't really in a place where they grew up to do what they love, you know, and to have the privilege to actually choose to find out what their special desire is or what their special talent is. Because I truly believe everyone in this world is like destined for one thing, or not even one thing, but like they're really good at one thing and they've got this thing that not other people have. And of course, everyone is different. But I feel like because I grew up really stimulated and because of the lack of being able to be free, all of those feelings manifested into having everything I wanted, and by force, not because everything was there on the plate, because it really wasn't, but like going there and actually finding it and shutting people down. Like, it takes so much strength as a 16-year-old to shut your mother and father down, to be like, no, I'm not going to work in an office, like I'm going to change the world, you know? And obviously as parents, they're listening to their young kids saying that. They're probably like, are you though? But it's so important to, like, I don't know, just believe in your kids and tell them that like they should go for it. They should go for their dreams. And I guess the lack of that like made me go for it harder and made me rebel harder, because I was just getting like, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. And until I did it, you know, but then that's why it's so important to like be that rebel and be someone that's like, no, like I believe in my soul and this little voice I'm hearing in my head, and I'm destined for that. And yes, it's a big risk and I could fail and lose it all, but I would rather risk it all and fail than do something I don't love because my family have pressured me or because I'm expected to do something. Like, that's just a disservice to everyone around me and myself, you
Well,
know?
when the driving force is stronger than the barriers in front of it, there's only one way
Yes.
it's going to end.
Oh my God, yeah. And there was like 10,000 barriers in front of it.
Must
you
have been
know?
a pretty driving force.
Like, literally. And I was just like, no, I know this. Like, because you're watching all these videos people are making and you're like, I can do that. Or you're looking at these photos people are producing, you're like, I can do that, but better. Or you're like, you just need the opportunity to actually do it. And I guess my teenage years, I didn't have the opportunity to have a camera and shoot a model. And then at the age of like 16, 17, 18, I started getting them. And then I was like, damn, I was right. Like, I am good at this, you know? And
Yeah.
like, didn't go to school to learn like how to take a photo. Again, from that moment when I just like gave my soul to the internet and just like was on Tumblr, was on YouTube, I just like I learned everything, you know? And that's why the driving force has to be there, because you need to get up and actually teach yourself. It's not just like, oh, I want this life. Like, you actually have to get up and how did that person get there? How did that person do this kind of thing?
I'm thinking about you in that environment when you were younger, and I'm almost wondering whether, because it was so tough, because you had to jump over so many barriers, because it wasn't necessarily the easy path, it almost fueled you more to do so. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a blessing. Like, I'm really, really, really happy that things weren't given to me on a plate. And I believe the way you do one thing is the way you do everything else. And I put 100% into everything. Like, I was raised in a way where I didn't expect things to come to me. And I'm raised in a way where I really do have to work for the things that I will achieve. And that's okay. And I'm really blessed to have seen a blueprint of my parents work hard for absolutely everything they've entailed and earned in this life. And so, yeah, and again, it's like I don't want to say it was a struggle, but it was a hustle for sure. I don't want to say it was a struggle, but like it was definitely a hustle. I hustled way more than a lot of people have had to, you know, but I kind of like that, and I would rather do that because then I know how worthy things are and I know what things are worth and I know how much it took to actually get there. And because I wasn't just given my first camera or like told about photography, or because I wasn't able to be raised going through someone's analog photos and going through, like, I didn't have that kind of side of my life. So the no's and the no, we don't have the opportunity to take you to that or to do that for you, definitely allowed me to make that opportunity for myself. You know, I see the lack of something isn't going to make me become worse. I think the lack of something will make me want it more and get it more. And then when I have that something for myself, I know how hard and how much time and effort it actually took for me to get it. And I think that's important, and it allows me to build a very strong version of myself because I've had to do everything from step one. You know, there wasn't like a fast track.
You've had to build the foundations of yourself at such an early age.
Yeah.
But ultimately, that's just going to propel you moving forward. And I think that doesn't happen for everyone when they're 12, 13, 14. However,
I was like strong at that age, just really like, but I try and now, sorry to cut you off, I try now and like hone into my 12-year-old energy. Because like when you're young, even a teenager, when you're young and so strong, you know what you want, you're so confident in yourself because I guess like you haven't learned like a lot of things and you haven't grown up in that way, and maybe you've not been like, I don't know, just like you've not been so many things that are going to bring you down at that age too much. And I had this big sense of hope, you know. So someone telling me I can't achieve my dreams made me want to achieve it 10 times more. You know, my dad laughing at me when I'm like, I want to be a photographer made me be like, well, screw you. Like, and now look, you know, like, it's just like, I really believed in myself, and that was so important. And I try and remind myself of that energy I had at such a young age. And now at 26, I like to have that same confidence. You know, I like to have that same 12-year-old vibe of like, no, like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it because I said I'm going to do it and I believe I'm going to do it.
You've had an incredible mix of characteristics, because you've had although the environment might not have been one that supported your ultimate ambition or dream, it feels like you've had the correct almost, or some really strong individuals in your life to drive you through. So you've got all of the internal values, but the situation wasn't quite there to allow you to flourish. But because you've got those such strong internal values that you've likely learned from your parents, you know, like siblings, etc. I think that's been so vital throughout your career, you know.
I think an anchor to who I am today is most definitely because of my sister. I share a very, very, very unique, special, crazy relationship with her. I'm the youngest, and so she was born disabled, epilepsy, in a wheelchair. And I guess having someone I love deeply not being able to do the fundamental things that we can do every day, like walk to the shop or just even vocalize what they want in life, like having someone like Sonia, like my sister, in my life every day throughout my upbringing, throughout 18, like before I moved out or whatever, genuinely was my anchor. Like genuinely was when I was hearing no's, are you sure you don't want to get into the creativity? How are you going to make money? I would literally just glance at my sister and be like, all the strength I need is here, because my principle in my life is like, I'm living for two, you know, I'm living for me and for her. Due to her disability, I was born, you know, and like we're so close in age. I basically helped raise her. So she is like my baby, as well as my sister, as well as someone I'm really working to change their quality of life. So for me, it's like, it's more than a dream. I want to take photos and I want to be on Vogue and I want everyone to see my photos. It's also like, I want to put me and my sister on the map of like freedom, of like being able to live the life that she deserves and the life that my mother deserves for working so hard to even, you know, raise her. So like, you're right, my whole family, like the dynamic of like pain and struggle and how much everyone's had to work for everything still to this date. And also gazing over at my sister, who's just so beautiful, and my whole light, not being able to like experience the human experience like we can. And obviously she experiences it in her own beautiful way, and she's such a miracle. But look at like even spending time with her, like it gives me this motivation nothing gives me. Not a self-help book, not someone succeeding, not anything. Just gazing at her, like sitting with her is just like everything I could ever need to just like keep working hard and keep working every day. Because I'm trying to, not that that's like my end all and be all and that's something I'm going to pressure myself with because that's limiting, but like just working every day to work towards, you know, fighting for something is so easy. You know, it's easy when you've got something to fight for. And like I really am, I guess, just fighting for my family as much as fighting for my artistry and myself. Like I'm trying to change her life, you know? So that's why for me, it's like, I had that same feeling at 12 looking after my sister. So when people were telling me I couldn't be big or dream big, I was like, you're crazy. Like, I'm looking at a miracle over here.
Yeah.
Like anything can happen. You know, I truly believe that. And that goes for like everyone else hustling and trying to do something who is being told they can't do it. Like, no, like never ever listen to people. Like when you have a dream, when you have a goal, like hell, I didn't even listen to my father, you know, and I love that man. So it's just like, no, like people think they know what's best for you and they don't. People think they have good intentions, but maybe they don't, and you have your best intention. So for me, like my sibling, my sister is the anchor to like a lot of moments where I'm like, oh, can I keep going? I'm like, yup, yes, I can keep going, you know? So it's a really big blessing to have her, Sonia, in my life every day. Just even when I'm not with her, she's with me, you know? So that is my driving force, I think, as well as I'm my driving force before anything, because I need to pour that into myself to be able to pour that into the people I love. But like Sonia is most definitely like the anchor of my being, even in terms of life, my quality of life. Like I like to do the most because she can't do it.
There's so much strength in that story. I mean, you know, at such a young age to have all of these, you know, elements in your life, but you're right, these clear defining driving forces, these people that you obviously care massively about. It's quite amazing.
Yeah, it's been dope. I kind of see my life as like everything's written. I feel like the way my life has gone, it's been a crazy, crazy like 26 season series. Like
Longer than Lost.
it's just been, yeah, it's just been wild. Like it's been really beautiful. I feel like um I've seen I also have a brother, and I don't know, I've seen my life being worn in a different way, but I really have this really beautiful way of taking hardships and things that might bring people down to actually like uplift myself, and to actually like I have a really important principle for me, which is to not wear my pain on my sleeves. You know, no matter how much someone's done something to you or hurt you or, you know, abusive, this, that, like to not allow the pain to like seep into your life to become this person that, you know, I could give up on my work, I could give up on my artistry because of these points that I actually catalyze into really beautiful moments. Again, like thank God for my art, because if I didn't have an outline, just like if I didn't have my freedom of expression, if I wasn't able to go and dance, if I wasn't able to write or take a photo, like when I'm feeling really down, sometimes I'll set up a shoot because I just need to feel, and I just need to like explore and put my emotions through another woman into another image, you know. And again, I really like, as well as my sister being my anchor and me, my art really is, because that's my outlet. You know,
That was
like
going to be my question. If you don't, because if you don't take your pain internally, like how do you process that?
obviously I cry because that's really healthy, and I'm very in tune with like if I'm feeling something, I'll take myself out of it. But dude, like arguably before taking photos and sitting and editing, because sitting in the editing process is very much a moment of therapy for me, because I get to play my favorite music and just dive into a photo and make it my own world. But I love to dance. Like I love to dance. I don't do it professionally, but it's really embedded in my core, and I do want to direct like a dancing movie one day, because it just like a little step up 2000, because it really does mean the world to me when I'm moving my body. I am in my dream state, and my problems in my head fade away as I'm literally dancing. And for me, it's not like I'm just going and moving my body and having a little rave. Like, I really am in tune with myself. Like, I really do answer to music. I respond to music in a really magical way. You know, it means a lot to me and my sister, a lot to my family. Like, I'm Moroccan. We come from a lot of instruments, a lot of like tribal sounds. Like, I really am just like a little bit of a warrior. And when I hear certain things, my body moves certain ways. And mate, when I was like a teenager and I was really upset, I'd just go and dance in my room and no one would know, because again, I wasn't able to openly express myself or be like, hey mom, I'm going to go to a dance class. Like, nah. So a lot of things were done in private, and I love sharing my dance now, and I love showcasing that to the world because of that lack of being able to share it. I also think like that's a big reason why I like to share online, because I think people deserve to feel what I feel, or people also deserve to see my life in a way that's authentic so that maybe they can implement it in their own. Maybe if I'm dancing in a moment of freedom, they can also feel the same and not feel trapped, and use me as a blueprint to just take this life and live it. Like, I was raised around people that didn't live their life to the fullest, you know? So for me, being able to dance and journal and photograph and even little voice memos I'll just speak to like release my pain is so important. Little projects, like I journal every day without a doubt. That's something I don't go a day without doing, even if it's a sentence of how I feel. Because then it'll just bottle up if I don't do the dancing, if I don't do the creating the projects, if I don't allow myself to put on a workshop to teach people. Like, that is all stuff that relieve me from my pain, because at the end of it I feel a sense of hope and light towards life, instead of where previously I might have felt really dark, you know?
Yeah, I do. It's really interesting you drew back to the when you're 7 or 8 years old, you'd go up to a room and dance, because again, it's tying into that idea of expressing yourself from such an early age. I think I know the answer to this, but do you believe that that expression, that desire to be creative, was innate within you from birth?
Yes, I do. I do. Fun fact, my mother was born with me while she was training to be a personal trainer. I'm not born with me, lol, pregnant with me. So like she was training in like dance, she did like Zumba and stuff. And so honestly, I think like in the womb, I was like given like music and frequencies and
Yeah.
bass.
Yeah.
Because yeah, even videos of me from when I was a kid, I'm always in front of the camera wanting to put on a show. And like psychologically, that's really interesting to me. And like not putting on a show in like this weird vain way, but putting on a show in this like funny, humorous, like dancey way. And like it makes me cry when I look at video. I think loads of people feel like this, but when I look at videos of me as a child, like it makes me feel really weird, and like it brings out a really emotional sense of me, and loads of my friends feel that as well, so I don't know if you do, but
In a good way or a bad way?
in a really good way,
Yeah.
in an overwhelming way, and like, oh my god, that's me as a kid, I want to hug her kind of way, like in a really beautiful normal way, I think. But yeah, I feel like it was in me, it was embedded in me, and then as I got older, this like, I don't know, surveillance of like the inability to not being able to do that around my family, or dance seeming inappropriate or rude or too sexy, which is wild to me. Again, like a lot of my inability and me being put in the box is simply because I am a woman, you know, and like that's a whole different chapter and a whole different book. But and that's why my rebelliousness and my anger came shortly after, like in my late teens, because I realized that a lot of it was because of how I might have presented myself, when actually I'm just a little kid that wants to bloody dance. So I definitely think that it was in me from a young age. I think me being a photographer was in me at a young age. Me being someone that just visualizes and writes and cares for people, you know, I think, again, like, I really think my life was written in this weird, weird, weird way. And I really just think no matter what, like, I am just who I am. And I've always been this person. I'm just evolving, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, it's really interesting, because I think some people will have points in their life or things in their life that they can clearly attribute to, oh, that's why I think this way. A short example for me is my dad was always very interested in like human behavior and psychology. And so I naturally grew up with him asking me the questions of, oh, like, why do you think this person's doing this? And I just kind of like observed him. So I very much
That's so
learned
nice.
from that. Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, it was
so
amazing. But it feels now so embedded within me that I can tell you where it's from, but it feels very innate and very organic. And yeah, I don't really have like many vivid memories of myself. I'm not going to be like analyzing someone when I'm 3 years old, but I remember my parents were always saying that, like I could speak to adults and stuff like that. And maybe that is slightly attributed towards it, but it's so lovely and so refreshing actually to hear it was something that, yeah, you just had this organic feeling, this innate feeling that you knew that's what you wanted to do. And when was the point when you first genuinely started to think, okay, this is a career, or maybe have some, I guess, some like positive reaction to your work?
Okay, so I think at the age of 18, before photography, I was a videographer. So I would take videos of like events just to kind of like build a portfolio and learn behind the camera, because my main goal is to be a director. I want to make movies. But photography, I've just fallen in love with it, and I'm doing really well with it. So I'm kind of just in that space right now. But I think, how old was I in 2012? Because 8, 9, 10, 11 years ago. Wow. I think 17. So I started making YouTube videos. And that is how I'm not just a photographer. I'm still trying to figure out what to call myself, because I take really good photos. I'm a really good writer. I teach people, but I think I am this embodiment of like inspiration. Like I want to do TED Talks. I want to speak to people. I want to be in front of the camera as well as behind. So I began by starting YouTube, and like I was posting YouTube videos of me dancing, of me singing, crazy, of me just being this creative, this like little pop star. And I got so many subscribers. Like I got people making fan videos. Like from that moment at age 17, I was like, cool, I'm good at whatever this is that I'm doing. You know, this was before all of this hoo-ha with social media now. This is like OG YouTube times, you know, where like not many people, like vlogging has just started, you know? And then I started becoming a videographer because I chose to not go to university. I chose to basically hustle and take videos of models looking beautiful to send to agencies. And this was all free work, you know, just I didn't have any interactions or any networks with anyone from like London. I came from like a little village outside it, you know, so I had to like really like search on the internet and get to know people and have them trust me from my already body of work on YouTube, which was just pretty blasé and out there anyway. So I guess from the moment that I did this event and I realized that I don't want to do videography anymore, someone told me to take a photo of someone. They were like, I just like your eye, just take a photo. I didn't have the desire to. I was just going to do video, short movies. Someone literally was like, take a photo of someone and see how you like the process of taking it and editing it. And from that moment, I took a photo of this model I got given. I had someone who believed in me and they gave me a muse, and that changed my life. And from the moment of taking that photo, I never did a video ever again, because I fell in love. I loved it. I learned Photoshop so good. I realized that I actually didn't enjoy editing the videos. I enjoyed editing to music. And when I realized that I could just blast my favorite music, because music's such a big passion of mine, it's so funny, but that's my psychological equation. Like, I sat down on Photoshop listening to my favorite music, and it led me to a beautiful art piece that I created where I changed the colors and I manipulated the image. And from that moment, I was like, I'm going to be a photographer and I'm going to put all my eggs in this basket. I'm not going to go to university. I'm going to build my portfolio. And this was at 18/19. And then my gap year came, and I think I was like 20 when my gap year came, when I chose not to go to university. And I flew myself to California at 20 years of age. And from that moment, I decided that I was going to be a photographer for my career. Because when I returned back from California with a portfolio of all these models, because I was British in America, and I feel like that is quite an advantage. And so I was able to actually speak to a lot of models and get them to believe in me from that one photo that I took in London. And I came back and I got my first job, and I never ever worked for anyone else. So that was at
How
20.
how how did you jump from taking your first photo to making the decision to fly out to California?
Well, In my head, I was like, I was doing all of this hustling to be a director anyway, and I was filming and writing pieces to these beautiful, beautiful women that inspire me. I'll just transfer that into photography. And essentially, that's actually way less work. I become way more of my own boss when I am my own artist. I was having to work for a lot of companies and corporations when I was doing video. And I felt that when I was building my own work, I was the boss, and that's my safe space. I think I'm a leader. I'm a leader within spaces and I put things together. I'm also very good at working in a team and taking advice, but I kind of just like pushed myself in the sense of, I don't know, again, it's that belief that I had from when I was 12 of like, I'm simply just going to ask people. And they said yes. And I edited my work. And the gap year was my safe space. If it didn't work out, I would have maybe have gone to university and taken that route, which I just believed that I had been educated for so long. And it was up to me now to go into the real world and kind of see where photography can take me. And in my smart little business brain, I thought that I went to America for 3 months at 20 and it changed my whole life. And I not only met my best friends there, I built my best piece of work there that I still use to this day. And that's how I got my confidence. It was by looking at my work and I built my skill. I looked at YouTube and I learned from people. I learned how everything I wanted to do on Photoshop, I would just Google, how do I do this? Literally, I didn't spend any money on a course. Again, I had that brain that I've always known I've had, the visual brain. I knew exactly what I wanted my work to look like. People would ask me how I got my style. I got it within like a month because I knew what I wanted to make it look like. I just had to learn how to get it to look like that.
This might sound like a strange question.
Yeah.
Was it also that you knew what you didn't want it to look like?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. My stuff needs to pop. I'm Moroccan. It's red, it's golden. I was, kind of not able to chase my dreams as early on as I could. So my work equals my dreams. So how do I think dreams look in my head is how my style of editing is. Everything is really, really technical. It's not just like bloop, bloop, bloop. Like everything's intentional. Everything has a message. The reason why I can do this every day of my life is because it literally means everything to me. It's like my holy book. Everything needs to look like hope, whether it's vulnerable, whether it's not. Morocco's colors are very green and red, and that makes its way into my work a lot. So yeah, and I know what I don't want it to look like for sure. My subjects that I choose are also very important. The types of women I actually choose as my muse is so important. I think I have a really good knack for shooting the most incredible, the women with the most beautiful energy. It's not even in a characteristic vain way, in a physical way. It's very much an aura. I feel like the women that I choose are very powerful, and I like to have those women carry my work,
Yeah, I do.
Because of the lack of power, I guess. So it all kind of makes sense. But I had this just innate confidence from the ages of 16 to 20, from 21. Well, from 20, I just have been working for myself, and it's been the most incredible thing ever. And that feeling of never wanting to kind of give up on that and go into a company has made me want to just keep evolving and working. And obviously I can't stop working. I have to have, the jobs have to be there. So if I stop, they're not there, So it's it really is a fun playground sometimes. It doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
Because I'm just creating.
Yeah. Have you ever had a period where you've struggled for creative inspiration?
Yeah.
It sounds like there's a very direct translation between who you are and what ultimately, comes out from the photography that you do. But I'm wondering, is that a constant tap that's never been turned off? Or are there times when you have had to sort of reflect on yourself and think, okay, what do I actually want to convey here?
Yeah. Well, in terms of the never being turned off, my mind is always creating things. I don't know, I'll hear a music and I'll honestly think of a beautiful visual to go with it. It's just a thing in my head. I just think of beautiful things. When I see something, I might write it down just for inspiration. But there'll be moments where I'll have a block and I won't know what to do. And I think moments of stillness and doing nothing is vital. I think those moments where you don't know what to do it's so important to actually get to maybe something you've always wanted to create, or that moment where you're actually on something now and you have the motivation to wake up every day and work on this idea because you've actually had a moment to stop, rest, and think. For me, though, I'm in a battle with myself every day, mostly. Like, I'm my biggest enemy, I feel, because although I know photography is made for me, I also think there's more out there. So I will always regularly have this battle of like, Hannah, you are ready for your directorial debut. Like, you're ready to write a script. Like, and maybe the photos aren't enough right now. Maybe I need more. I need more from that, you know? So it'll always come from like, I love taking photos, but because in my heart, I know I'm supposed to direct and I'm supposed to be on set and someone's supposed to be crying on the scene and I'm supposed to be putting my writing, because I've got scripts that I've written, but I've never actually started working on. And so that moment of a block and that moment of stillness most definitely comes from like, do you think you should start directing now? Like, do you think you should show the world your scripts now? Do you think maybe you need to like put your writing in front of your photography now? Whereas before it used to be like, oh, actually, I'm in a block and I need a break and I need to go and have some fun to get inspired, you know? Like, I need my real life experiences to be able to write the stuff I do, to be able to come up with the ideas I do. It all comes from a true place. Even my most dramatized portraits, like, it'll come from a true feeling. So it's important for me to actually step back and go, like, take myself on a date, like go and like inspire myself, go to the beach, speak to a stranger, help someone. Because at the end of that, I might be like, oh my God, like I need to put that out there, you know? I need to write this thing. I need to take this photo of this series. So I definitely do, but it's always needed. I think it's really important to have moments where you are at stillness and you don't know how to step forward, you know?
Definitely, yeah. And so if we draw back to landed in California, you've, I'm guessing, already had a little look about what you could do, where you could do, or was it a bit more of a spontaneous decision?
No, I just went.
So
I knew no one. So my two best friends came with me on like a holiday. We did California for, sorry girls if it's wrong, but I think it's 10 days. And then they left me there. So they came for like my support. We did like Universal, crappy touristy stuff. Still knew no one there, but one of my really good friends from London was in California when my friends left. And I guess that was the catalyst to meeting loads and loads of people. So I met one or two of his friends and then met loads of people, but I knew no one. I researched nothing. Zero. My plan was to go for 2 weeks, but I ended up going for 3 months because every day was literally a movie. It was literally like everything was given to me. Like, I built my whole portfolio in that time. Like, it was wild. I fell in love with California. I actually fell in love. Like, I got into a relationship there. Like, I fell in love with every aspect of it. The career, the space, the people, a partner. It just actually changed my whole entire life.
what was the moment when you were like, I'm not going to go home? Because surely you had booked flights and, you know, that's my logical brain thinking.
Yeah. It was like 3 weeks in, because I had to obviously move to an apartment and I ended up moving somewhere for free that I didn't have to pay for. Because obviously, like, for me to be able to stay in California for 3 months, I needed this money. And I was just helped by people, by souls that saw me and believed in me and helped me. And whether it was for free or just like, you know, whatever I could pay, it aligned for me in a way where people just like loved my energy and my aura so much that they wanted to help me and they wanted me to stay. So I was crashing at friends' places, you know. And then when I met the person that I fell in love with, I obviously like stayed with them, you know, and like it just all aligned in a way where I didn't have to struggle for once to be in this place. It just opened its heart for me, which was just wild. Like, and I knew from the 3rd week in, I was like, cool, what is my maximum like allowance I can stay? And obviously in America, it's like 91 days. So I was like, I'm gonna do the full 91 days. And if I don't, I'll return. I had a flexible ticket. And I didn't. I actually was trying to do what I could to stay longer, but I had to return back. So
It feels like to me, though, you opened your own doors with that respect, because there'd be certain people, probably myself being totally honest, where I'd go to California, probably be a bit more reserved. I wouldn't make a real effort to go and like meet new people and I guess just like share the whole of myself from the initial get-go.
Oh,
However,
I was like,
yeah, exactly. But
I
you
was like, I'm gonna be in a
create,
cafe,
yeah.
I'm gonna sit, I'm gonna look at people. No, I'm that person. I'm like, I am in America. Hollywood for me is all I watched when I was young. Remember all these movies I was telling you about, all these music videos. All I saw was what America was producing. I guess a lot of us, the entertainment we do see, like in the UK, it's a lot of American stuff, you know? A lot of the movies I was watching, American, New York, California. These places were only in my dreams, only in my dreams. And for me to be there and to not grab that like with full force would have been wild. And the first moment I speak, I'm lucky that Americans are very forward and Americans are very, like, they, half of them came to me. And I just entertained it and balanced it out because I actually love being in those situations. I love someone coming up to me and saying, hey. I love saying hey to someone. Like, obviously, you read the room.
Yeah, not
You
not
read the
not
room, you
everyone.
get an energy, you get a, you know, it's all feeling, it's all energy, it's all frequency. And I really believe that. And it just aligns so beautifully. And yeah, I couldn't not. I had to save up a lot of money. I worked in like JD Sports as a part-time job to even get a bloody flight to go. You know, no one's giving me the peas. Like, I really had to, you know, I put a lot, I risked a lot. All my friends went to uni. I'm going on bloody gap year to California, huh? It wasn't impressive until I was making, like, until I got there. Instead, it was just a bit blasé and crazy of me to do that. But then I met great clients, I networked, I set up money for myself for when I returned to London. I came back to London with work and I was like, damn, I'm being paid now at 20? Sick. Sick. I didn't even need to go to uni for 3 years and not make any. Like, I was just like, sick. We're just gonna boom, boom, boom. But I had really good support around me in the sense of like, people really just wanted me to win because I bled and sweated my life and my career to people, you know, like you could really see how much I wanted it and not even want how much I was working for it.
Some people would kill to have that kind of force and ambition and drive within early life because it's so hard to earn and it's not like a given. And I say given, that's actually the wrong term. That's not a given trait. That's something that you build and you earn, and that, yeah, is so like is built through hard work. And I think some people get to their 20s, and they think, I haven't had to build anything. I've been given everything. And yeah, you just seem like you are the living embodiment of like action your way out of problems. There's no, or there might be some self-doubt, there might be anxiety, whatever that might be around
Of
the
course, I'm
situation.
human.
Yeah, but it's
Just
always action.
can't let it last too long.
Yeah.
Can't let that, like, it's not negative emotions because they're needed emotions and it's a balance, but I can't afford to be in self-doubt for a week. Like, I need to, my mind's been trained to allow positive thoughts to kind of like intercept and be like, no, remember your small 1%, remember the things you do again, remember Sonia, like things like that. That's why I keep saying I'm blessed because I have something to fight for and I've got something that I really love. Like the emotion of love is the strongest emotion I think in the whole world. Like whether it can go bad or wrong, like I just feel like I've really, I don't know, I've been able to see like how much things actually are valued to me and how much things are worth. And it's important to work hard for the things that you're getting. Otherwise, you're not going to know like what it's worth or even how to work hard later in your life or how to like not give up. A lot of people will give up on things. Like I see it a lot and it's like, I just won't. Even if I fail 20,000 times, I'll just keep going because it's, I've seen that and I know like it takes long to kind of like get the things that really last a while, you know, and the things that are really worthy. Obviously there's thinking smart and working smart and not taking too long to do things. But yeah, I think it's been really lovely to kind of have that power and the tenacity to like get everything I desire. But, you know, I've got myself, you know, I have to like do these things for myself. And it's a blessing to be able to do them, you know.
And you've had to work for it.
Yeah.
You've never had a choice.
Yeah, like it comes from things like, even like I had to like clean the house when I was like 9, like every day, you know, like to help my mum. Like some of my peers don't even know cleaning a house. You know, I had to learn how to cook when I was like old enough to learn how to cook. Like, you know, my culture, my Moroccan culture, I have to give it some flowers because it has raised me to be an beautiful, impeccable woman, in the sense of like being able to do things, like just my independence, just everything, all of that, even besides the whole photography stuff. I've had to help my mum at such a young age do a lot of things, and I'm really grateful for that. And I'm really happy that maybe she was hard on me when I was younger, because now I can do everything. You know, I'm like not struggling. I'm not like, Mum, why didn't you teach me this? Because she really taught me like everything, you know. And even like changing my sister's nappies at like the age of 12, like I've got that maternal instinct in me from such a young age, because I had to like give my sister medication, feed my sister, you know, be really interested in disabilities, in neurodivergent people. And now I'm like teaching neurodivergent people to take photos, and like it just all is a blessing. And that's why I think the way I was raised in that way, I just like want to give and give as much as like I'm working hard for me and my family. I'm trying to like shape a community and shape a world, you know? And that's by like, I don't know, just love, so much love. Like, you know, has to be given. And you have to love yourself so that you're not in that sense of like, I don't deserve this. Oh my God, my self-doubt, pity, pity, pity. Like, you need to have that strength of love to be like, nah, like, I'm good, you know?
I'm interested, if you were to have children when you're older, what type of environment would you want them to grow up in?
I definitely, it's a hard question, because the things with like being a mother and stuff, I'm seeing it's changing every year. Like as I'm getting older, my viewpoint on a lot of things is changing, like going back and forth. I'm like, I don't know what I want, but I know what I don't want. And I definitely think, for me, I wasn't able to communicate a lot of my needs and my wants, and again, express myself in those ways. And I have to give that to my kids. I have to have my kids come to me with their dreams, and I will tell them to go for it. You know, like I will not love my parents, but they didn't tell me to go for it. You know, everything had to come from me, and then the internet and movies and all that. But everything came from my soul and what I created for myself. So for my kids, like when my kid, like God willing, comes and is like, I want to be a guitarist, you do that. We're going to get you a guitar next week, boom, but you're going to save up for it. You know, like things aren't going to come easy. Obviously, if I have an easy life and things go really well within my life, then I'm going to give that to my kids. But even if I do have the privilege of like buying my son a guitar, but whatever they want or whatever, they need to learn how to get things. They need to learn how to work for things, and they need to learn how to think of other people and not always think of themselves. And in that sense, I really want to give an artistic home to my kids. I want a paintbrush to be lying around. I never had that. I want a camera to be lying around. I never had that. I want sports equipment to be lying around. Like, because to give people an opportunity and an introduction to what they might love is so important, you know, to just have that around, to have them being stimulated and just introduced to life and creativity. And even if my kids might not have a creative bone in their body, it's just, which they totally will. It's just really,
I can't believe that.
Yeah, it's just so, it depends on my husband. It depends really, it depends. I don't know. I think it's really important for me to just have a safe space for my kids to be whatever and whoever they want. And for me to be a line of communication for them. That's important, because that was never available for me.
Yeah, I think it's really, you're right. It's a difficult question, because you almost want to give your children the opportunities that you didn't have, but then also you want them to go through the struggles that you did in some ways, because you're proud of who you are, right? And you try to, I guess, make life easy for them in some ways, but while maintaining the values that you've often instilled.
Most definitely. I think being Moroccan is a big help, because I was raised in Morocco for a couple of years. And even though I was really young enough to like acknowledge what that did for me, but it did a lot for me. Those are like my most receptive, crazy years when we're that young, like up to 6 years of age. And then returning back to Morocco every 3 months and being around my culture allowed me to be grateful, to practice gratitude, to not be very materialistic, to actually focus on the really important things in life, to give in my culture and in the religion. Giving back to poor, like helping people is like the main thing, is the main principle in our family. Definitely within my mum, she's such a giver. She helps people. She's like a little Mother Teresa. So most definitely, like these values are so important because like if I didn't have them, I could have transitioned into like a really, I don't know, maybe like too prideful, too cocky, too self-sufficient, too self-indulging. Like I really am this giver, this community person. It's really important. And I think those values and those principles are what I should focus on teaching my kids, you know? And of course, like if I'm blessed and I have the ability to give them things to make their lives easy, it depends what it is, you know? But like at the end of the day, like you must know what you're working for because you need to know what it might feel like to lose it. And like giving someone too much could be a really rocky road.
Yeah,
I think.
you can plant the seeds and water, but
I think my artistry saved my life. You know, having my expression to shoot, to meet people, to be creative saved my whole entire life. And so I most definitely will make it apparent to my kids that they have outlets and you don't need to monetize it like I did. You can just be really good at something, or you can just really enjoy doing something. You don't even need to be good at it. You can just love painting and you could be the worst painter. Like, I definitely want to install that. You don't need to monetize your passion and your craft. That thing that saves you every day doesn't need to be your money maker, you know?
Yeah, I do. It's really, really interesting. And if we draw back to when you're in your 20s, so you come back from California and you have work lined up as a photographer for the first time, was this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My first client who I still work with today.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Nordic Poetry, love ya. It's a vintage brand in Brick Lane.
Wow, beautiful.
On Bethnal Green Road, just off it.
Amazing.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Oh. But it was the kind of stuff I want to shoot, like high fashion one day. I'd love to do like a Chanel campaign, Prada campaign. And they sell Chanel, Prada. They sell like high-end fashion pieces. And so for me, I was like, because I want to shoot for these brands one day, let me actually like approach a vintage brand so I can work towards it in a smart way. So I'm not like working for something that doesn't make sense. It's like allowing me to build. So one day maybe I can get booked by these high fashion houses. You know?
Yeah, that makes sense. And how did you grow your client base when you were back in the UK? What were the like key and pivotal moves that you made in order to, I guess, continue this dream?
Again, I always lead with equations. I had to put 100% into every interaction I was having. Obviously, I had Instagram as a tool, which was really amazing. And I was consistently on that every day, all the time. So I not only built on Twitter and Instagram, but I also built in real life. So I would always go to events, network, tell people I'm a photographer, show them. So I already had everything from California, had all my work from there. And it was really impressive, good work. Like I remember looking at my work being like, I'm good at this. And also having the support system of my, not family, wow, my friends of family telling me, because even at this point, my parents were like, so they didn't even know like, so my family of friends were my support, telling me, yo, you are good at this. You're good at taking photos, them telling their friends. Every single time, and I shot for free for like a year before I even expected some shmoney. Yeah, I shot for free because I was like, cool, I need to build it more in like London. And obviously when I shoot with a model and they're doing my idea, it's like we're collaborating. So there's not really a transaction to kind of expect from that. So with all the free like model work, I then used that to get to my clients. And when I got my first client, like Nordic Poetry, and I started working for them consistently, that kind of led to more fashion people, more models booking me, more just everyday people just wanting to book me because they've heard that I actually put in 100% of an effort, not only to take photos, but it would end up being like a therapy session, like shooting people. I would end up raising their confidence or giving them a sense of hope within themselves, or people just felt comfortable telling me not their problems, but just where they were at as a woman to woman. Like, and I have shot like a lot of men, and every single shoot I would just leave being like, dude, like I've really helped that person. I've not just shot their photos, but I helped them, and it's not them helping me. It's like, yeah, we're having a chat and there's a balance of conversation. But I just had this love for like sitting and actually giving my time, instead of being like, oh no, I'm booking, it's a client, so I've got to like stop this now because time is money, blah, blah, blah. I never thought like that. Like I was always like, nah, I'm here and I'm a human. And like, I'm going to give this person my energy, and I'm going to give this person my time because I think they need it. And like, we're around so many people that just like, oh, like, don't give me don't dump your things on me. Don't this, I don't have time for you. I don't have time for this. But I think to like build a beautiful community and to allow someone to have time for someone else or for themselves is to give someone that time. It could be 5 minutes of me just listening. And I felt like that was really important. And not only was I getting booked again from the same clients, because I gave that homeliness, not this like transactional, I'm going to take your photos, bye. Also, taking photos of someone is a really vulnerable thing. BTW. You're literally like capturing someone, and that'll be there for life. That'll be documented. You're allowing someone to like, I don't know, really take off the layers, like really gaze into their lens and really like feel confident or not. It's a vulnerable place to be. So it matches for me to also be vulnerable with them and accept their vulnerability and give them time. It matches. And I think word just went around and people were like, you should shoot with Hana. You should shoot with Hana. I was shooting women in the best way. And obviously the work has to do the talking. And then I just built loads of clients and I don't really struggle for them anymore. And I'm independent. I don't have anyone who is representing me. I don't have a photography agency. And just from then, and I've also gone back to California, built the clients again, went to New York, built more clients. Instagram, Twitter, I posted my work on Twitter and it went viral. It got like 200K retweets. And from then I got like a plethora of clients. And then magazines start getting to know you and musicians start getting to know you. And then it starts building and then you start becoming Hana Zabzabi, You start becoming a bit of a name where people know you as part of the fashion industry. And then I don't really have too much of a problem hustling for the work. Because not only is it spread online, but I'm like living the work as well, and I'm not afraid to do favors for people. So that also has come back tenfold. Working for people for free has now converted into working for really good money because I believed in them and now they've got a budget and now I can be paid. That's why I believe in just being authentic. Like not everything has to be about the money. Things can be collaborative. We are artists. We do this for the love. So a lot of believing in people. I had nothing to show for myself and people had to believe in me. And then now I can help people. I'm at a space to do that. So yeah, it's important to know that people are starting. Some people don't have much and it's really important to be the help sometimes. So yeah, I think that like just word of mouth and just putting in everything into my sets and into my work and has allowed me to just build my client base where now I have people coming back and booking me again and stuff,
It really is the old cliche of the amount that you put out is the amount that you get in return. You're right, you spoke about something being transactional, and the very word transactional versus vulnerable are on complete opposites. And I think, technically booking a service like photography can be seen as very transactional. It could be, depending on the scope of the two individuals.
Of course.
But you're absolutely right. That is a massively vulnerable thing to do.
Especially if you want photo, like, for example, if a woman wants I get women who maybe have just left a marriage, who've been divorced, and they just want to feel good. And like, just think about that. They want to feel good. So it's like you get a massage to feel good. Can go to the gym, blah, blah, blah. You like go to therapy to feel good after that. And they'll use photography as their feel good, as their self-care. So not in a corporate sense of I'm going and I'm taking photos for a client and they're going to sell it. That's the sense of this woman is wanting these photos to look at, to feel good, to feel safe, confident, to get her security back. Maybe her husband made her feel like crap, like maybe she doesn't feel sexy anymore, and that's really crazy stuff that's a lot of pressure for me also, which I don't mind come through, because I love making people feel good. And if you trust me and trust there also has to be a sense of trust, because photography is very subjective. It is what it is. When you look at a photo, you either like it or you don't. And having women like that sometimes looking at themselves, they have to kind of get used to it, because you're being shot by someone else. But it really is crazy because it's such a vulnerable thing. Like, some people really book me because they need to feel good. They need to feel hopeful. They just want these photos to get a sense of their like femininity back. And that's a lot for me to do, and that also comes with like sitting and talking and would you like anything to like, it's just like the hospitality that I kind of has been embedded in me anyway at such a young age, like comes through within my work. So it's a lot of that. It's a lot of young girls just wanting to practice and get really good in front of the camera. Like, as much as I do my fashion and corporate and company stuff, I get a lot of individuals coming and trusting me and spending money on me so that they can move forward within their lives, almost like therapy. God.
Yeah, I understand. And especially when you're essentially being judged on, something that's external, and that's, a model's role ultimately, right? It's a very vulnerable thing to do, very difficult thing to overcome, I guess. So I'm intrigued. When did Divurgent workshops come into the frame, and how was that idea originally born?
Yeah, so I guess that's actually perfect, because when I was shooting with everyone and kind of leaving, like, oh, I'm doing way more than just taking photos. Like, I'm sitting down with people, I'm giving them my time, I'm helping them. When I went to California for the second year in 2018, I was sat with my partner and I was kind of like, I feel I leave these photography like appointments doing way more than I'm being asked to do, which is so fine. And I'm doing it because that's just my being, and it's in my blood to like sit and see if someone's cool and actually give them an ear, because some people just don't like to sit and listen to you, and it's really nice to have someone listen to you. And so I literally like, I'll do that. I'll do it out of my own love. And then I was just like, yo, I kind of want to bring people in a room together, and I want to help more than one person. I don't just want to help one person after every shoot. And then I thought of this thing and I was like, cool, like what if I get 10 people in a room and they speed date? But they don't speed date in the romantic dating sense. They speed date in the sense of I get 5 photographers and 5 models and I pair them up in the day. They don't know who they are. They're in different age brackets, different like areas of the world. Just a really blasé random 10 people, 18, 30, different ages. And they shoot to obviously people that are interested in photography and modeling, people that want to express themselves, people that didn't know how to, like me. Oh, I didn't even get my first model until I was like 19. And if I had something like this, that would have been so dope. So I was like, let me just get these people together. Let me do a free little workshop with the people I know now. I started knowing like quite a lot of people. I was like, I think I could get 10 people together to just build their portfolio in the day, a portfolio making day and a networking day. That sounds good to me. And then it happened to be one of the most incredible days of my whole entire life, because I didn't have the name Divurgent, but I knew it was something I wanted to start. And I'm not going to start something unless I trial and error it. So I guess it was a trial and error, and I had no expectations. Half of it was filled with 5 of my friends and 5 people that I didn't know, because I didn't want to fill it with people I didn't know. And so I guess they were all rotating. I was like, cool, you're all going to shoot for half an hour and you're all going to rotate. So you all get to have a go with one another. You're going to use this house. I got the apartment. Downtown LA is so beautiful to kind of shoot around. And that was kind of the premise of the day. I had a 15-year-old girl come, and then the oldest age was like 35. But the 15-year-old girl came with her dad, who was like in his 60s. And we did a Q&A. So I also added a part of the day where you can ask me questions, photographers can learn, and we can all do a discussion and kind of just motivate each other and leave the day not only with 5 different images from different people, but new friends and a new sense of like inspiration and hope, because we get to discuss our artistry. We get to discuss the connections that we're making, you know? At the end of the day, the man stood up, the 60-year-old man who's dad, and he he said to everyone, he was like, this is one of the most incredible things I've been a part of. And I'm not even a photographer or a model, but you've inspired me to start my business again. And I just like, and I obviously started crying. And I looked at my partner and I was just like, and I left, like everyone left, and I just like couldn't even speak for an hour, because I was like, if something like that and the energy we brought to that room and what happened that day can inspire a man who's not even creative to just live his dream again and start his business again, that's wild. I was like, I'm gonna work on this thing because that's all I needed, you know, like, and it did everything for me that day. I didn't get a penny. I actually took money out of my own pocket to feed people, you know. There was like orange juice and fruit and stuff. It's crazy to think now I have catering and a studio, and wild. But that was in 2018, and I called it Creatives of LA. And I took that structure and I did it like twice. I think I did another one with another group, and again, it was amazing. It was amazing to see people of different ages connect and shoot. Different to school, where we're all in one group and we're all in one life and there's nothing else to kind of... I saw this 15-year-old really blossom from the beginning to the end, because she had the respect and the advice and the love from the 35-year-old and the 25-year-old, and she could see different ages, because we're all going to become those ages, and we were all once 15. So who's to say we can't all be in the same room together learning off each other? And even that 50-year-old guy learning from younger people, like, that was important for me. And because I didn't like too much how I was educated when I was younger, I agree in this like safe space and this, again, leading with love and allowing people to have an opportunity to see if it is what they want to do. You know, and I see my workshops as like, you don't even need to come and be a photographer. You can come and realize that this isn't for you. And that's amazing. So I guess fast forward a couple years, I came to London and I did it, and I started charging pennies, like 25 quid to come. You know, you apply, I choose you, because that speed dating rotation is amazing. Like, it really is. I don't know anyone doing that. I don't know anyone allowing a safe space with different ages. I accept disabilities. I accept you if you are passionate. You know, it is an application process. But that's because I kind of like to curate the groups in a specific way, so I have people bouncing off each other. And it's just become this really beautiful accidental business of mine now, where we're called Divergent Workshops, and we run twice a month because there's a demand for it. And we're hosted in such a beautiful studio in Peckham now, which is just a dream. And my main intention for it is to truly shape a community. I believe that it starts by beginning small, you know, to actually see the world that I want to live in. Like, you need to look around you first. And I really want people to just believe in their dreams. I want people to have hope, and I want people to have a safe space where they can come and try, you know, instead of paying thousands and thousands to try, like, or like paying thousands to go and see if you want to do something or not. I want to give people a one day to come and explore your creativity and also make friends in London. London can be a really hard place to kind of push through. There can be a barrier. It can be very cliquey and very social when it comes to my industry. And I want to change that. I want everyone to help each other. And I want everyone to be able to kind of like not think that they're at loss if they're giving someone contacts or if they're giving someone an email that could help them. Like little things like that. Like we don't gatekeep. We give everything. We give our time. My beautiful team show up every day to guide, to mentor people, and people have been signed after this day. Like models who have come with no agency, no portfolio, have ended up being signed. Photographers have started monetizing their work, all from this beautiful day. That I really would like it to become an art school one day. So I would like these small workshops to kind of stop at a point, and then for people to be able to come and do this course, you know, for maybe a month, that like a New York Film Academy kind of vibe,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it's making me wonder whether the reason why it was so well received by all is because there aren't any clear and overt success measures to what you're doing. I'm thinking about what most people do in life, i.e., you know, if they have work or even if it's sport, etc., there's always win or lose. There's always some sort of competition, whereas it's very rare to have a situation, an environment where you are actually encouraged to just be creative, to test, to learn.
Or to just be yourself.
Yeah.
To just be yourself. I don't actually think I remember in school being told by any teachers, apart from my English and media teachers who I love, which makes so much sense now. I don't think anyone actually told me to be myself unless I left school and went online and looked at content and movies that told me to be myself, which is crazy. So for me, the lack of, again, means that I want to give. Like I want to give. It's so important for me to tell people that they can do something. Just that alone might get someone to actually go and do it. Or it might just be the motivation someone needed. Or just like displaying, like having a moment for someone to fail is a privilege. Just having an experience, an opportunity to maybe speak to someone who's in the same industry as you. So many of these people like come from so many different parts of the UK. Some people come from villages where like no one's a photographer, you know, and they come all the way to my workshop to kind of meet people. Like it has become the most beautiful thing I've been a part of, and it's just crazy that I founded it. But it really is like doing what it was supposed to do, and that was just give people hope and love and opportunity. And I think it's really affordable, it's really beautiful. We really care about every aspect, to how we feed you, to discussions, to I do a demonstration at the beginning of the day so everyone can see how I shoot. I really do give an insight into so much of my life, and some of it's priceless, like really. And like just the reviews, the alumni, it's all in the work. The proof is all in the experiences. I've had people apply 3 times, try and come again, pay twice to come again. Like it really is such a beautiful thing, and it had made sense for me, again, as a teenager, to be doing something like this. It makes sense because I don't just take the photos, like I make shit happen for people, and Divurgent has allowed me to do that.
What does a typical day look like within the workshop?
So everyone starts at 10 a.m. I introduce the day, a little intro, introduce my team, break the ice a bit, have a little laugh. And throughout this whole day, we're playing music, we're laughing, we're spitting jokes, we're swearing. It's a free, safe space. It's not this like, you must be this, you know, like at school, you must have your skirt to your knees, like all of that psychological stuff, crazy. No, this is like literally safe space. If you're anxious, you can go out. If you need to step out, you can do that. Anyway, I introduce the team, I introduce the day, I do a demonstration with one of my muses so you can see how she models and how I shoot for 20 minutes. We then kickstart the day with a rotation for half an hour, and my team goes with each group to help them. We have studio, we have outside, so you're not only learning natural lighting, you're learning studio lighting, and then you have the whole building if you wanted to shoot anything else. This is like a very blitzy part of the day. So you do the first rotation, then the timer finishes and you move next. You have 10 minutes to get ready into your outfit and you move. Everyone gets to kind of chat 2 weeks before the workshop. So they're all in discussion with each other to kind of see what they want to do within the half an hour. You do 4 back-to-back rotations, and then I used to cook the food for everyone, but funnily, like, thank God, actually. I was like, the food part is getting a bit too much. We're going to have to hire someone. So I used to cook the food, like vegan, vegetarian meat for 15 to 20 people. Yeah. And then we do a Q&A after the food to let it sit. It's really revitalizing food that makes you want to work, not stuff that like slumps you down, you know? Because I'm really like passionate about feeding people the right things and just making an effort with that kind of part of it as well. Because it's also a moment where you get to sit and chat. That's where you get to sit and kind of speak about the last 4 rotations. And then we have a Q&A. So everyone gets to ask any industry questions, anything, contracts, websites, how did you start making money? How do you get your clients? What agency should I apply for? There's like a panel of models and a panel of photographers, and we help. Then you end the day with your last rotation. So you kind of had your little break, you've eaten, you've had a Q&A, and now it's your last shot to take amazing photos. And then we always go for a drink after with the whole team. That's not really part of the day. But like at the end, we're just so high on the day that we're like, anyone want to go for a drink downstairs? We do it at the Bussy building in Peckham, and everyone comes. And then the workshop ends till when everyone just like wants to go home, I guess. And we're still like, although it ends, we're still chatting about work and creative stuff over a pint, over a cocktail. And then we start becoming friends. And then it really is like what we say it is. Like we've just built this huge family of people, like a big community of hundreds and hundreds of people that have come to this workshop, that some of them have become amazing close friends of mine. And so it's just been crazy to kind of like actually witness it. And people have dated from it, like, you know, a little match made in heaven. People have become best friends. We've got friendship groups now. You know, you find your people when you go to the spaces that are meant for you.
What do you get out of running these workshops?
Everything. Can you not tell?
I can.
Yeah, it's that sense of helping again. It's that sense of when someone tells me they've been signed, when someone sends me a message of like, dude, you helped me, like you helped my life. Yesterday I felt like giving it all up, and today I don't. Boom. That like makes me the happiest. That makes me happy than like getting a huge budget and getting paid 10K for something. Knowing that I've like shaped and been a part of someone's journey is a huge legacy for me. That goes on beyond that moment in their life, that memory, that feeling, that goes beyond the money I'm going to receive from anything. It really does.
You use that word legacy. That was very weird because I was literally about to ask you the same thing. Is that what you want your legacy to be?
I think so. Apart from being exceptionally talented, I think my legacy, it has to be how I've impacted people, like truly, and it's not changed. That's never changed for me. I'm real, so like I'm not, you know, I'm a real person and I can have my days, but I really, really think it's important for me to like be a blessing for people's life. And again, my anchor, my sister, like that the help that she's taught me to learn, because it's all through helping her, although it's not as such a dramatized extent or like that intense of helping someone, it's just installed in me. I get happiness when I'm helping someone, even if it's holding the door for someone or like seeing an old woman struggling with a pram and like, or something like that. I feel good when I feel good, when I'm doing good things, when I'm a good person. And I know that doing these things allow me to be a good person. Or like as long as it's not draining my energy and it's as long as it's not taking things from me, because it's not. As long as I'm not waking up every day like, oh, I've got to go help someone. Once I feel like that, I will stop and take a step back. But I don't. You know, I feel like I help myself enough. Again, that's why it's so important for me to know myself and know what I need, because then I can show up for this.
Well, it's a balance.
Yeah,
it's like
it really
everything in
is.
life.
Because if I'm drained and run down, I'm not going to have time. I'm not going to have I don't know, like it's not going to be authentic for me. I'm going to be somewhere else. I'm not going to be present in helping people. So for my workshops, you can imagine, I have to be present because I'm helping 10 people. I have to be on point. I have to, and it's, again, it's another like line of therapy for me. It's another line of expression for me to be sat there leading a day, you know. It takes a lot of confidence and courage to speak in front of people. It's also practice, you know. I want to be able to speak in a room full of thousands. This is all practice for me, like being confident, speaking in a good tone, speaking in a good speed, like actually making good eye contact. Like it's all practice. Like and I am all here for it.
I wonder whether there's an element of progression in there as well. You need to move forward in order to feel like you're doing something worthy and worthwhile of the life that you've been blessed with. I wonder whether that's an element as well. And we were talking about briefly, there's a saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. I think our friend Billy actually told me that the other day. Yeah, shout out Billy. And he said that, and I'd heard it before, but not recently. And it's got me thinking a lot. And it's like, genuinely, you can't help anyone if you're pouring from an empty cup. There's nothing there to give. So you really do need to have that foundation.
Vibes when you're doing that.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not looking good.
No, sorry, mate.
It really isn't. Yeah, I can't. And of course, the cup can get empty, but that's when I know myself and know my brain and how I work to fill that up and maybe take a break, or maybe go to the cinema or go see some friends, have a little laugh, and make sure I am able to show up for these people. It is a lot. Like, it is, I can't say like the more of a demand it is, it's becoming a lot, which is such a blessing from the point of view of like wanting people to know more about the workshop. But then I also need to make the time and the space to like always be ready to kind of, I don't know, actually do these workshops, actually execute them well. I wouldn't want a bad one, So, but it's always been wonderful. And even if I am feeling a bit blippy and weird, like the energy from everyone else and my team and the workshop, at the end of the day, I'm on cloud 9. Like, it really is a beautiful thing for me also. It also allows me to be motivated.
Yeah, it's something that, as I say, that was why I asked the question, because it's something that they, the people participating in value so much, but it's also something that
I value
you get tremendous value from.
Yeah, I really do.
That just by nature makes something that's like truly unique and truly special.
Yeah, if I didn't value it, how am I even going to expect anyone else to believe its value? Like, I believe Divergent Workshops is going to be humongous. It's going to be huge. Like,
so do I.
It's taking really slow, authentic steps, and that's fine. But I really do believe it's going to get to a point where I will have my own building one day, and it will be an institution where people can go and it just works. And I don't even need to be around anymore because the foundation of it is there, and I really see that. I really believe in that, truly. Yeah.
You've got a few upcoming projects.
I do.
Would you like to talk about them?
Yes, I would love to. I'd love to talk about one of them, maybe not the other.
Okay.
No, I'm joking. Just because the other one's taking so long. Okay, so I've been working on. I'm going to talk about the one I didn't want to talk about first.
That's fine.
I've been working on Not Your Girl, which is my first body of work that I want to exhibit. Obviously, I have a really large body of work, but I've not put on I've not put on a show yet. I've had a small group show in California, but I'm prideful in the sense where like I really want my own space when I'm exhibiting my art, and I want it to be about my work, and I want people to see my life, and I want people to dive into that, So Not Your Girl is a story basically about my womanhood, and it's about dispelling any stereotypes the world might have of women like me, done through imagery. And because I'm British, oh my God, Moroccan and British?
British?
Moroccan. Because I'm British and Moroccan, and these two cultures mean so much to me, but they also contradict themselves in so many ways. That's the main theme that's kind of running through my exhibition. So I'm not only showcasing women from all different kinds of sides of the world, but I'm also showcasing different women who like to carry themselves differently. Women that like to cover up, women that don't, women that like to be powerful and very fiery within their mouth, and women that like to kind of be very reserved and within themselves. And it's a showcase to kind of show people that there is a war on women, and I don't think people realize that. Whether we're made to feel unsafe walking the streets at night, whether we don't have as much help, whether spray like pepper spraying a rapist will actually give us way more punishment. Things like that, like things that really make me angry as a woman. Like I have to cover up in certain ways so that men don't get too excited. I can't showcase myself. I can't be too loud mouthed because then I'm not a respectful woman. I can't smoke a cigarette because pretty girls don't smoke. It's like loads of things like the things that I've experienced as a woman growing up is put into Not Your Girl. And it's done in a really loving, but also angry, but in a valid way, because I don't know, our path is way different. And it really is because of like how we are, what we look like. I have to protect myself from so many things because of my biology. You know, I have to think of so many things. I'm put in so many vulnerable positions because I might not have the strength to defend myself or to actually, you know, be able to self-defend, you know, like there's just so many things within my life I've experienced, and I've really needed to put it out there within my photography to show people that growing up British and Moroccan was kind of crazy, kind of wild. And so half of it is kind of with like Moroccan elements and the other half is very British elements because I am both, you know? And it's kind of this battle and this story and this fight of womanhood. And I like how it ends because it ends with like, we're always going to be fighting for it. There are people that went to war, that have marched, that have just for me to be able to exist and breathe and do what I can now. And we're still fighting for it. We're still, you know, in some places I can't get an abortion. In some places I have to be married. Like, you know, it's stuff like, it's bigger than that. It's just like being a woman is kind of long. And it's my fight for that. It's my fight for like, why is it long? Why do we have this path when we are the portal to everyone's life? You know, when we're so magical, we're so beautiful. I believe that if you give love to your women, you're going to have a beautiful community. You know, we are birthing people, like, but anyway, Not Your Girl is a crazy message basically to anyone that's made me feel a type of way as a woman. And it's to also bring women and men together and to ask men for their support, you know, and that's done really beautifully through each image. And so Not Your Girl is something I've been working on now for 2.5 years. And because I'm self-funding it, obviously it's taking a while, so the more money I get, then the more I can work on it and actually put money into set designs, my lighting, all that fun production stuff. But I'm not going to finish it until I'm really, really sure about it, because this is a really personal body of work, and my next body of work isn't going to be so personal. So I'm quite ready for that. But this, because it's so personal, it means a lot to me, and I'm really doing it for me and like my kids that are coming, and I want them to see something, and I want them to see how strong their mum was, or I want my mother to see how strong her daughter is, you know, through this body of work. So I'm going to take my time with that. But I've come up with Prelude, and Prelude is my little show before this big show, and which is so dramatic of me. But it really is to just like showcase my old work, the work I shot when I was in California, showcase 3 images from the exhibition so that no one's seen. And I've also worked on another project with a best friend of mine, which is about feelings and your ego, and that's going to be showcased too. So we have 2 different projects and an archive of my original work to basically make a curation and a body of work that's just like Hana Zabzabi, and it's an excuse to just come and celebrate my artistry and to promote Not Your Girl, to make people aware that like something's coming, something really good is coming. But for now, look at my OG work and look at these 2 like pieces of work that no one's seen before that I'm ready to start introducing. So it's like the little introduction before the big main event, which will be hosted in a proper gallery. But this one's done in a really nice like bar venue. And I just want to put together a community and a little show for people, you know?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Where is Prelude and when is it? Just so people can...
Prelude is going to be in Tottenham Hale. So it's Unit 3 Gaunson House on Markfield Road, right by all the photography studios, which makes sense. We have an opening night on the 21st, but you can actually come and look at the work for 2 weeks from the 21st to the 5th of July. And then don't have a date for Not Your Girl. Don't ask me.
I won't ask you for a date, but I want to ask you to speak about picturing it in a dream reality. Because the common thread that I've really seen throughout our conversation today has been, if you've dreamed it, you've actioned your way to making it become a reality. And it sounds a bit cliche, but it's very true. It's all I've seen.
Yeah, you got to see it.
Yeah, exactly. So what, if you're closing your eyes and you're looking into the future and you're seeing Not Your Girl, what are you seeing and why?
I'm seeing like, I already have the answer to this. I'm seeing like, I see a huge space. But then I'm going to showcase a short film. So I want people to also have a moment where they can go into this room and really dive into my words. And you know how you have it in exhibitions, you're kind of that part of the different mediums are in different parts. But all of my work will be huge. I really see it kind of filled with people mesmerized at the work, like not in a sense of like you look at an artwork and you move, but I really want people to connect and be enthralled and obsessed and just really taken in. So a lot of the aspect of what I see is the people seeing it. But really just a really nice, clean, safe space. And I also wanted to bring my artwork to life, in the sense of I wanted some of my models to be around and no one take this idea, to kind of be going around offering beautiful like Negronis or champagnes or cocktails to the people coming to view my art, so it looks like they've actually come out of my image and you're in a Not Your Girl world. Like, as much as this is for men, women, this is a moment for us to claim our power back and to really show how beautiful, vulnerable, angry, amazing, how we are just everything in one. And so to have a different depth to the gallery and to have my models maybe coming out into life and actually like interacting with people would be really beautiful. I also see a burger van, which is really weird, but I just don't think the money's gonna, yeah, because like I have a concept called like Burgers Over Boys. I basically thought it'd be really cool by the art piece to basically have burgers being sold. Like, not in a sense of like Burgers Over Boys are, but just like, I don't know, accepting women eating whatever they want and looking what they want and having a crappy burger and not always like, I just think there's a facade and a stereotype a lot, and I love a woman that can eat, you know, and I can eat as well. And it's just like, I like putting that boldly in front of people, because I've had so many comments and so many girls have had so many comments of like, you're too this to be doing this, you're too that. And it's just like, screw you, I'm going to do it 10 times more and like even more in your face, because mate, like, we can have crappy, greasy food as well. And like, maybe that's even more enjoyable than sitting down and speaking to a man, you know? But that's like the dramatized sense of it, you know? Like, because in some moments, yeah, I'd rather have a burger over going on a date and just on my own, I'd sit and indulge in some food. And that's my love. That's my self-love. Like, so it's really fun. It's really pop arty. And I just kind of want the exhibition to have that. So things like the models coming out of the frames and actually serving the drinks, the things like having burgers by the Burgers of Boys, the things like having a woman, I've got a piece where she's drinking a Negroni by the bar where people are buying Negronis, just everything to have intention, but to also just be a really nice space that isn't too overstimulated. It's really important for things to just be quite peaceful, I think, and it's a lot of emotion I'm showcasing and a lot of feelings in these images, so I just want people to have the space to take that in.
Yeah. And it sounds like a lot of you.
Yeah.
Hannah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think your individuality has shone throughout this conversation, and yeah, I take courage and inspiration from your strength and the never say no attitude. And I really hope that everyone else does as well.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
I really appreciate you.
You're very welcome.
This has been wonderful.
Thank you, Hannah.
We don't have 2 more hours.